right, we are on the last page in our fraction operations booklet. You're going to open up to the dividing fractions tab. And we're actually going to look at the back of this page here. We're going to open up to the back of this page. We're going to put a few notes on the back page or the back side first before we fill out spots in the front. Okay, so our first thing that we're going to be looking at today is, what we're working on is dividing a whole number by a fraction. And in order to do that, you need to know one key concept that is talked about in your book. And it's kind of the basic in order to get started on dividing fraction problems. So it's called finding the reciprocal. So when you hear the word reciprocal, and ignore this part over here, this is just the back tab of that. When you hear the word reciprocal, I want you to think of flipping. So that means that when we're given a fraction, we're actually going to find its opposite fraction. So we're going to flip the fraction. The top will now become the bottom. And the bottom will become the top. Okay, or numerator becomes denominator, denominator becomes numerator. So when multiplied together, meaning the original fraction and its reciprocal, the answer is 1. Okay, here are some examples. So if you're given the fraction 1/2 and it's saying find its reciprocal, that means that you're actually going to put the bottom at the top and the top at the bottom. So the reciprocal of 1/2 would be 2/1. The reciprocal of 3/5 would be 5/3. So we're just flip-flopping the top and the bottom. Okay, the reason why this is important is, I'm going to do a little line here, we're going to write underneath it. Now we're going to be, I guess if you need to pause this to finish up these notes, go ahead and do this now before we move on. Otherwise, we're going to move on down below. So then we are going to write divide fraction by whole number. The front side of this page kind of has some similar steps in order to divide a fraction by a whole number, but it mainly talks about dividing a fraction by a fraction, which we'll get to in the next lesson. So when you are dividing a fraction by a fraction, you're going to write the whole number as a fraction like you would any other time, which means you put it over 1. Okay, then you're going to flip the sign to multiply. The original sign will be divide, but you're going to change it to a multiplication sign. And then you're going to multiply by the reciprocal of the second fraction. And it has to be the second fraction that you are multiplying the reciprocal by. So I'm going to put 2 lines underneath to show that that is so important. Multiply by the reciprocal of the second fraction no matter what. Okay, so here are some examples. First one. You are going to be given 6 divided by 2/3. Okay, so when we rewrite this, we're going to write the whole number as a fraction, meaning put it over 1. So I'm going to write 6/1. Then I'm going to flip my sign to multiply, and I'm going to flip my second fraction. So now this becomes the reciprocal of 2/3, which is 3/2. And now I'm ready to multiply. But I can divide ahead of time. So this becomes a 1, this becomes a 3. And now I have 3 times 3 is 9, 1 times 1 is 1. So my answer would be 9. Okay, I'll give you another example. 4 divided by 3/4. When I'm solving, I put my whole number over 1. I flip my sign, and I flip my second fraction. So now I have 4/3. And I can't get rid of any ahead of time, so I'm going to just multiply straight across. 4 times 4 is 16. 1 times 3 is 3. And now I can't leave my answer like this. It's not our best answer. Change it to a mixed number. So I can pull 5 wholes out of there because 3 times 5 is 15, and that's as close to my numerator as I can get. And then I have 1/3 left over. So 5 1/3 would be my answer. Okay? All right, open up your book to page 308. 308. If you need to pause this video right now to copy down the notes or finish the notes, go right ahead. Otherwise, open up your book to page 308. Then we have a guided practice here. So these, you are just finding the reciprocals. Okay, so 2/3. You're going to flip your top and your bottom, so it becomes the opposite of that. Your reciprocal would be 3/2. Reciprocal of 1/7. Go ahead and do that. The answer is 7/1. And then your reciprocal of 4. Now this one's a little tricky because this isn't a fraction. You're going to have to put it as a whole number first. So 4/1 is what the original fraction is. So now finding the reciprocal of that would be 1/4. Okay. All right, now let's look at the bottom of these 4, 5, and 6. So remember, when we are dividing by a whole number, you're going to change your whole number to a fraction. You're going to flip your sign and flip your second fraction. Okay, so then we multiply straight across. 2 times 3 is 6. 1 times 1 is 1. My answer is 6. I wouldn't keep my answer as this. You rewrite your answer as a whole number again if it's over 1. All right, number 5. We're going to put our whole number over 1. We're going to flip our sign, and we're going to flip our second fraction. You cannot flip the first fraction. Otherwise, you're going to get the opposite of your answer. And it's not going to make sense. You're going to always flip the second fraction. Okay? Then you can divide ahead of time if you can. Otherwise, if you can't, just multiply straight across. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 2 is 2. And this would be 2 1/2 is my answer. Okay, last problem.
Miss Rose to the office.
Sorry for the interruption. So then we would make our 5/1. We write it down below. We flip our sign, flip our second fraction, and then can't divide ahead of time, so we multiply straight across. 5 times 7 is 35. 1 times 2 is 2. Can't leave my answer as an improper fraction. Have to change that to a mixed number. So that is actually going to be 17 1/2. That's my answer. Okay? All right, now you have, hold on one second. Sorry about that again. Then your homework is going to be on page 309. Let me see if I can open this up as best as I can here. Sorry about that. Page 309. You are going to be doing numbers 1 through 11. That for you here. So if you want to circle in your books, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay? All right. Good luck. Let me know if you have any questions.